Well, hello everybody and welcome back to Coffee Chat. I'm here today with Carol and I've got Dana and Will behind the scene, but we are just gonna just sit back and chat. We've got a lot to talk about today, but let me introduce myself first. I'm not Carol.
I'm Carol.
This is Carol.
Today.
I am not Carol. I am Sherry Smeraglia, and I do know that. And I am the CEO of Smeraglia Enterprises, Teddy Bear, Goldendoodles, Schnoodles, and Twoodles. And Carol, as you all know, she is over all of the animal services, everything related to puppies, and lots of people too.
Yes, and we dealt with hatching chickens this week. So.
Yes, we do all kind of things. So we deal with our puppies. We're Smeraglia Farm, and we got a lot going on in the springtime. We got baby cows on the way, or a cow.
We do.
One for sure.
One for sure, most likely more than one. Mm-hmm. We actually caught 2 swarms in our beehives.
We got swarms. We got baby chicks and incubators. We got ponies growing up. We have a loose turkey right now. I think he came back. Tom was sitting on my front porch all weekend yelling and fussing because he came out of his coop.
Yes, and so he normally is a friend with the alpacas, and they hide behind him because that's the thing. But it's springtime, and so he felt the need to go find him a girlfriend.
So anyway, spring is in the air, but before you know it, summer will be here. And when it comes to summertime, you want to know, how to care for your pets. So many of you, life changes. You go from many of y'all, from this freezing cold winter season, snow and all that, to now you've got summertime. And I think the hotter it gets and the deeper south you get, the more things you have to know. So welcome if you are all here joining us. Dana's here. If you have comments, if you want to say hello, go ahead and speak it out, shout out in the chat, and Dana will let us know that you're here. We got some friends with us.
We've got Heather Hilfer with us and Bentley Service.
All
so
right.
Welcome, guys. Y'all let us know you're here.
We only know you're here if you make a comment, okay?
Kristen Lockwood says hello.
Oh, well, there you go. Y'all are coming on in. And so, so we've got, we were thinking today just about, getting ready for the summer, for us. Even here at the farm, we have to transition from keeping the dogs and all the animals warm and not letting them be cold to all of a sudden now we got to transition to, oh my gosh, we've got to keep them cool now. Because
yes, we do.
We have severe humidity here.
We do.
And we have to take care of them.
We do. And then the other things we've got to watch out for is we'll go through a period of time that's starting right now where almost every afternoon we're going to have thunderstorms. And with the heat comes all of the mosquitoes and all of the other bugs that fly around.
Let's talk about bugs and all the yuckiness. Okay. So many people don't realize that's where a lot of the parasites begin that your dogs struggle with. Heartworms, that's coming pretty much from mosquitoes. And I don't know how y'all's, how it is where you live, but the more humid it is, the more wet it is, and the rain, we deal with mosquitoes terribly here.
We do. Because mosquitoes, they require water to reproduce. And so if you have a really dry climate, you don't really see them quite as bad. I know you got them, but man, there'll be times you look out across the field here and the mosquitoes are everywhere. So in the southeast, we are on heartworm prevention year round, where I know a lot of other parts of the country, you get to buy 1 6-month supply a year because you're only on it for 6 months out of the year. Not here. Is that dangerous though?
I'd be a little nervous about taking that 6 months off. I guess it's safe whenever you live in that climate.
Yeah, and when you just don't have mosquitoes because it gets so cold. But I agree with you, being down here as long as I have. The other thing that I would think about, and I get it, the ground freezes, but your monthly heartworm prevention, it's interesting, I actually talked to a client about this today. Your monthly heartworm prevention not only deals with heartworms, but it also handles the other intestinal parasites. And one of the things I always talk about is, I hate the word prevention because you're not preventing them from getting anything.
Right.
What the goal is of the medication and giving it routinely is it stays ahead of the life cycle. So the way that heartworm works is The mosquito, basically it bites a dog and it gets the larval form of heartworm, which lives in the bloodstream. It's called microfilaria. Then it'll fly to another dog, bite it, and then it'll pass and transmit the larval form of heartworm. And it takes, and it's usually around 6 months for that microfilaria to make its way through the system to the heart to then grow up and become an adult heartworm that then will reproduce and shed heartworm.
Yeah, so what if a dog, your 6 month supply was probably March through September? And what if you were bitten in September and then you quit taking it?
Well, you would have given it in September.
Yeah, so that would have gotten it. So it's...
And then October, you don't need it.
Okay.
And I think the vets, and I don't know, you guys chime in and let us know.
Yeah, what do y'all do?
I think the vets kind of tell you when to stop and when to give
in
it.
their area. So we do it year round. And that just protects the dog, but it also covers tell them what other parasites.
So it depends on which one you're on, but when the dog takes the heartworm prevention, what it does is it kills the larval form that's in the bloodstream. So it doesn't prevent you from getting it. It kills off the larval form before it can make its way to be an adult. In the heart. And then, but also in there is medication. In most cases, it's pyrantel that takes care of intestinal worms, usually roundworms, whipworms, and hookworms.
That's gross, huh?
Yes,
worms. I know that's the bad side about it. People are like freaked out about that.
Kind of gross.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you stay on top of it, dogs just put their mouth on everything, and so you just have to. You have to know that's part of owning a dog, but you typically will never see these things.
Correct. Well, what's interesting is the client I spoke to today, so her dog and she has a 9-year-old dog. And she was like, my dog tested positive for roundworms and she's on prevention. How does that happen? Well, the reason is remember, prevention isn't really preventing anything. It's staying ahead of the life cycle so that you don't have a problem. So roundworms have a 14-ish day life cycle. So from the time the dog picks up a worm or like an egg, it's about 2 weeks until they're able to shed an egg.
So where are they getting the roundworms? Like, you wonder where they picking them up, just from out and about.
Yep, out and about. Just walking around the park, walking around wherever. The dog licks his foot, they can pick it up. And so it happened that they did the fecal check on the dog on like the 24th. Well, heartworm prevention on the 1st. So that was 24 days after prevention. So the dog was in the worm life cycle where you absolutely could have had it. But guess what? When he got his heartworm prevention on the 1st, it'll kill it, take care of it.
It'll knock them out.
Yep, and then that's it. So that's where the prevention's maybe not the best name, but it does its job.
And then those ucky little tapeworms, that's coming from the fleas.
Yeah.
And, so that's why you then have to keep that on them, taking care of it to keep the fleas off of them, because then they swallow a flea, and next thing you know, you're getting those yucky tapeworms.
Yep.
Right? We're talking about bad stuff today.
We are, but you're right though. But it's summertime
stuff.
and the ground. So what keeps them from being around is really, really dry and really, really cold. So here, where it is always wet and always warm, we just work through it year round.
That's right. Dana, any thoughts?
Well, we've got Arlene with us. She
Hi.
says, hey ladies, McLeod. Candace Dardar is with us. Cheryl Baker is watching.
Nice to see y'all.
Tracy Schumpert is watching. Jane Hennessy, Annette Vellucci, and Georgina
All
Paulson.
right.
Kelsey Bell, Avril Brownhall. Arlene says, ew, with a bunch of little squigglies.
I'm with you. I'm with you.
And Tammy Harper is watching.
Well, y'all just make sure that even if like she said, this client today, 9-year-old. I mean, you wouldn't think a 9-year-old
Taking monthly
would be
heartworm
sick.
prevention is going to have an issue.
So I'd love to know, what are you guys using, and do you like it? What product are you guys using? That would be interesting to hear. And if you see any problems, how long have you been on it? I'd love to kind of find out what everybody's doing there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now fleas. I mean, you do that. You do that monthly heartworm peel. But now, what about the fleas and the tick treatments? That right there freaks a lot of people out, fleas and ticks.
It does. And the biggest thing with that is because, like with fleas and ticks, that's one of those things where they'll crawl on you. And I don't know about you if that
I
ever
don't like
happens
that.
to me. Oh, my skin will crawl for days if I
know.
get something on me like that. But if you're on a good prevention, it does really do a good job. So the one that we use here currently is Bravecto, and Bravecto is a 3-month, and it does a great job for fleas, ticks, ear mites, all of the external parasites. It does a great job.
You know, ticks are scary for a lot of people because they carry so many other diseases and they can hurt people. They can be deadly, you know.
They can.
So when you see a tick on your dog, it is important. You have to have that removed. Now, I don't think you should run to the vet. I mean, you can do that at home. You just need to, I'd wear, you know, some gloves and tweezers, and basically you just remove it. That little tick is holding on with its little teeth, and you have to get that thing to release itself, release its bite. And there's a lot of ways to do it. I typically will put alcohol on it or warm water or something like that. I got one on me from walking through the woods one time, and I literally got a lighter, and I was like, you gonna let go.
You burned
I actually
it off.
have a scar. But I was like, I'm killing this joker on me, you know.
So what I typically do, because I usually have like frontline spray and things like that around, and so usually what I'll do is I'll do just a little spritz, wait a little bit, it dies, pull it off.
Yeah,
So
just get
and
it
that
off.
works well. But yeah, like you're saying, alcohol works really
If
well.
you're out and about and you don't have the front line, though, you got to get it off. And they say, you know, hot water, putting warm water on it or doing something like that. But you definitely got to get that little bitty head off. And there's a shot that you can take. If you ever get bit by a tick, you just take the shot, and it just makes sure, and I forgot the name of the shot, but if Jackie was here, she would tell me. I have it written down somewhere, but I don't know if Jackie's here. But if it is, she actually told me about it because they have lots of ticks in their area. And her husband, being a doctor, said, there's a shot, and you just, for safety, if you know you've been bitten, just take the shot. you know.
And so like for dogs, one of the things too for our clients to be aware of is, so Lyme disease isn't really prevalent here. And so most of the vets in our area do not carry vaccine for Lyme disease for the dogs here. So we always recommend, if you're getting a puppy and going to an area where it is prevalent, be sure that your puppy gets that vaccine whenever you get home.
Right.
Interesting.
It is. It's very, very important. So we talked about parasites and bugs and things like that, but let's also think about your dog and their coat and maintaining them because of the water and swimming and doing things
And the
like that.
heat.
Yeah, and all the heat and things like that. I mean, a lot of people want to just strip their dogs down and have no hair, and because it's easier to maintain in the swimming, but they do actually need a certain amount of coat on their body to prevent them from, it's actually an insulation, and it actually prevents them from sunburn and skin issues and things like that.
And getting overheated for
Yeah.
sure. So one of the things that we do here is some of our groomers on our dogs that really love to swim do something that they've coined a false skirt.
Yeah.
And so on the top layer they keep a nice summer cut, but then underneath they cut it a lot closer. And then so for our dogs that do swim a lot, and it's hard, boy, if they're matted and get
Underneath.
wet. Oh, it's hard to get mats out once they're wet. But underneath, that really works well. But they'll still leave some coat, because the thing is anytime they're walking on asphalt or concrete, that
Yeah.
heat's radiating up, and they need that protection on them a little bit.
Yeah, and protecting their paws, that's a big deal too. I mean, it's so hot. But you guys, when you're taking walks in the summer, I mean, when we walk, I mean, I'm sure if you're in Vegas or somewhere like that in Arizona, I've been out on the concrete in the middle of the day, and I'm like, how in the world could dogs walk on this? It's so hot. You can fry an egg on it.
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
the rule is back of your hand,
Yes.
5 seconds.
Yeah.
You set it down, and
Right.
if you can't
Yeah.
keep now nobody burn your hand at all by
No.
doing that, but if you can't keep your hand there, your dog should not be walking on it.
yeah, I mean, and you got to think about that. There are like shoes and things that your dogs can
can.
wear to put some kind of barrier. It's the cutest thing though when you have those
Oh
on the
yeah,
dog.
and they get used to it, and they walk really, really well.
Yeah, it is the funniest thing. I love to see that. So what other things, Carol, about the summertime can you think of? I've got one other one in my mind.
So I actually have a couple. So one of the things every summer I'll get at least one phone call from a client on is water toxicity. And basically your dogs can overhydrate and totally throw off their electrolyte imbalance. So people think about dogs overheating. dogs dehydrating in the summertime when they're really active. But some of these dogs that really like to swim and drink and drink and drink and drink and drink, they will drink so much water.
Drunk on water.
Yeah, they do. But for some dogs, it actually can cause lethargy. They can have seizures. Like it can cause some pretty
too
severe
much water
symptoms.
is dangerous.
It
You know,
is.
when everybody's talking about you need to get a gallon of water a day, and I was Googling it and trying to read about how much water. It actually said, okay, there is a point where too much water is dangerous. But dogs, they, especially our breeds, anything with golden retriever behind them, they love water. They will tank and tank and tank up on water.
And blow bubbles and
Yeah,
all
we
of
have to stop that. I mean,
You do.
Fletcher was in the water bowl Sunday, and Lauren was like, my Lord, he shook, and the whole house was wet.
Yep.
Both ears were down in the water. His head was in there. He got up, and he was just a big, wet, literally mop.
Yes.
And then he starts this, and I'm like, he loves it.
He does.
And I don't let him do it because I keep him in a nice coat. So I'm always like, don't you get in that pond. Don't you get there. You're not going swimming. You're
Well, and a lot of
doesn't
dogs
get the joy of it.
and it's so much fun for them, and a lot of them it really is just fun. They'll go out into a pond or into a lake, and they're out having a great day, and they just drink and drink and drink and drink and drink
Yeah.
and drink that water to the point
That's
of it becoming
crazy,
a
though. I
problem.
bet y'all haven't heard of that before. That is
Every year though, and I rebuke it, we're not going to have any this year,
prayed
but
for them, but yeah.
we do typically get about one phone call a year of somebody asking about
So
that.
tell me what happened. They call you up, and what do they say?
It's literally a have you ever heard of?
Okay.
And then
you're
it's
like,
my
"Yes, I
dog
have."
had this, and I just wanted to report it, make sure you guys
Hey,
knew.
I'm glad that our
Me
clients
too.
call and give us all these updates and things like that. But who'd have thought,
But that's why we're mentioning it to you guys. So, because who would have thought? But now you know.
But dehydration is a big deal. They need
It
to
is.
stay hydrated. I know when you're potty training dogs, especially puppies, and you're trying to keep them on a schedule, it's what goes in must come out. But when they've, we monitor how much water our dogs get whenever they're training. But when it's summertime and they've been out and playing, excessive heat and things like that, you have to change that.
Yeah, so we say control the water intake, not necessarily limit it. We're not saying don't let your puppy have water.
Yes.
What we're saying is be aware of when your puppy's drinking water, because when it goes in, it must come back out.
And it's within 10 minutes, so typically.
So just be aware of it. It doesn't mean they can't have water. It doesn't mean they shouldn't have water. It means that you just need to know when they're drinking the water.
Yeah, you got to be in control, how much food, how much water, especially for
When.
puppies, when they've had it,
Yep.
and control. And literally, that's the biggest part of potty training is knowing when they're eating and drinking.
So the other thing with summertime and water is water safety.
Yeah.
So what a lot of people don't think about is with a lot of our dogs, even though they love the water, their coat can be kind of heavy if you have a nice
Oh,
big
yeah.
full coated dog. And so be very aware of that. Like if you're out swimming and you're in a swimsuit that is very water friendly, it's one level of weight. But if you were to go out and swim in your blue jeans and a jacket,
Yeah.
that's going to get really heavy on you
Harder.
swimming very, very quickly.
They need to be in life jackets if they're on boats. Even though dogs are great swimmers, they're not all great swimmers.
They are not all
They
great
are
swimmers.
not. It's funny to see some of them just paying it. It's not, but they should have it on. To not know what happens, like they just start sinking. You're like, I thought all dogs can swim. Well, that one can't.
Right.
He's not swimming well.
And the thing is, a lot of them try to have their feet touch, and then they just splash at the top, and it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you need to level out. We'll get there. But when they get heavy, they'll get tired, and so we do want to be very aware of that too. So if you have even like a pool in your backyard, and your dog loves to get it and swim, be aware that if they've got a lot of coat, that needs to be with supervision, so that we're making sure.
And if
there's
you've
not
got a
issues.
pool at home, from the time you bring your puppy home, you have to get in there with them, swim with them, and show them how to get out over and over and over again, so that they can get out if it happens when you're not there,
Yeah, because anytime a dog falls into a pool, they want to get out right where they fell in, and more often than not, that is not the place to get
Yeah.
out of the pool. So
Yeah.
always be sure that you've taught them where to get out of the pool.
But one of the big things I was thinking about today was to make sure that you guys all get your microchips checked.
Yes.
Because our puppies are all microchipped, but sometimes the microchip just disappears. It just kind of migrates around the body, and you just don't find it anymore. And it is a thing. It's a it's a device, and it can go bad. So we, make sure that we scan them. When you go to the vet for your checkup, just say, scan and see if my microchip's still working, and make sure it's registered to you.
Yeah, and that's a great point too, because we've got some puppies here that we've actually had to switch the particular brand of chip because for whatever reason, something in their system doesn't let some chips work. I'm that way. I can't wear a digital watch because it'll start being all weird. It won't read correctly. So I have to wear either an Apple Watch or like an analog.
Really?
And it's just the way certain things work. And so for the dogs also, for sure, make sure your microchip scanner's working.
I knew something was different about her.
There's a lot of things different. But the one day of the year where more dogs will go missing from their home than any other day is in the summer.
Yeah.
It's the 4th of July.
Yeah.
Because they get scared, they get freaked out. And we'll revisit this as we get closer to the 4th.
But just go ahead and check it now because you're going to be traveling. A lot of you will be taking your dogs with you when you're traveling, but or you're leaving your dog with a friend or with a boarding facility. And so just know that you've got that in the event that your dog went missing or ran off or whatever. Make sure you do that. Dana.
Well, we've got lots more folks have hopped on and a couple of questions and comments. Tammy is with us. She says, can't wait for more options of schnoodles. Okay.
Yeah, schnoodles. We love our baby schnoodles.
Susan is with us. Hey, Susan. Pamela, Sammy, Alvinia, April, Lyanne, Ronnie, Alexis,
welcome,
Gloria, Jackie, Zawa.
Yeah, Jackie, you need to give me that vaccine that you give whenever you get bit by a tick.
Alexa says, opinions on leaving the food out throughout the day are only during scheduled food times.
So I think part of that depends on your dog and puppy. And so just a quick answer here since we want to make sure we stay topic focused. But so I have Karis who's 13. I leave food out for her all day. She's potty trained. She goes to the door to let me know she needs to go out. She's not overweight. She eats as she needs to. But I can tell you that there are some dogs, if we left food out without it being on a schedule, they would be bigger than a big 55-gallon drum.
Yeah.
And so we've got to monitor their food intake. There are also, and now if we're talking about a puppy, if you can't control when it's going in, you can't control when it's coming back out. So we do need to be mindful of that for potty training.
Training, prep school training is scheduled. Feeding and drinking and everything's on a schedule.
Yeah. So Lucia, Linda, Susan says hi, and Barbie Huff is watching.
Hey y'all, well it's good to have y'all. We really enjoy hanging out with y'all, and our supporters just know first Monday, that's next week. So Monday night, we get to have our Yappy Hour with you guys, and we're really excited. Meredith and I look forward to doing that with you guys, and once a month just is not enough, but at least I need y'all there, okay? So y'all be there Monday night.
So you just brought up a good point of something else that happens a lot in the summertime, and that's boarding.
Yes.
With all of the travel, you either take your dog with you or you've got to find a house sitter or boarding options. And so something that just for y'all to know, it's always best if you can bring your dog back to us so that we can love on them and visit them. So we do boarding with prep school, and
only our dogs. So if you're watching and you don't have a Smeraglia dog, we only board our dogs. We know the vaccination schedule. We know our dogs. We know their temperaments. We know they all get along. We can only have so many, so we just limit it to that.
That's correct. And we always want to see them, so I want to put that out there.
And then we'll take photos and market them and have fun with them. We do.
While they're here. But outside of that, as you're looking for a great facility, always look for recommendations. Always check out the facility first. And one of the biggest pieces of advice back when we used to have Puppy University.
Because we did this for years.
We did. And I would give advice is do a test run while you're in town. Do a boarding over a weekend or for a couple days while you're at work, but you're at home. Do a test run. So if your dog stresses or has anything that happens that's unexpected, you're home. You're not in another country or in the middle of your vacation. So we always recommend doing a test run.
That's good advice. I think that's very good advice. Yeah, because you want to pick up your dog and see what state of mind they are in after a couple of days of being away from you,
For sure. And it is definitely something that it's a transition, and our doodles are so sensitive. It's totally normal for them to not want to eat or want to eat more or have an upset tummy and things like that while they're going through
if your dog went to doodle prep school and you had a trainer and you usually have a trainer, and then you have a special connection with that trainer. Many of our trainers can actually board as well, but they still only have limited space. So if you think, if you have dates, this summer that you want to reserve, go ahead and do that now. You do that through our Doodle Prep School office. They schedule everything for the trainers. So any other thoughts about that?
So I know that you guys a lot of times do your vacations with pets, where you guys make sure that you can take them with you. And so there are definitely travel options where they're doodle friendly.
So many of our clients take their dogs with them, and I love it. I see pictures all the time of them traveling all over the country. Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun. I'd love to see some of those pictures.
I would too. I love that. So summertime. Any other questions that y'all have? Let us know. If you've got questions about the summer, getting ready, let's try to answer.
So with the only other question that I get a lot is, should I have sunscreen for my dog? And the thing is, if you've got a good coat on your dog, that's it doesn't have to be long or thick, but you just got a little bit of coat, usually that's going to be the protection.
Now I like to take the spray, like the Show Sheen or the Detangler or something, if I'm going to have them in the water, and then whenever they come out, I always comb them. It's just like your kid. Your kid has long hair, you put it in a ponytail or something, braid it just to keep it from getting a mess. Well, you can't do that with your dogs. So you just always comb them, spritz them, and then do like the little detangler. And we've got all those products, but you can find them anywhere. And just spray it on, because that way it's easy. Even if they dry in the sun or on the boat or wherever, they're not drying with a big mat happening.
They're drying with conditioner.
Yes, and I like that.
Much better. What about heat stroke? I'm kind of curious about that. If you go out, maybe dog has been exposed too much, and what are the signs, and what should you do, or when should you go to the vet?
So to be honest, it's very similar to like what you see with people. You're going to see them be a little dazed, a little confused. You're going to see lethargy. You're going to see
overly panting and drooling,
and nauseousness, which is where that drooling comes from. And you're going to see, it's called a whale eye, like the eyes get really, really big and kind of glazed over. And so when you start to see signs of distress in your dog, it's time to get inside and cool off. And usually if you, at the initial signs of distress, get your dog inside and cooled off, you're okay. So how do you cool them off? Well, the thing you got to be careful of is you can't try to cool them off so quickly that you induce shivering. Well, number one, you get shock, but shivering actually is designed to raise the body temperature. So what ends up happening is if it's like, even with a fever, if you have like even with a kid with a fever, they tell you be careful about trying to get them too cool too fast, because you'll make them shiver, which will bring the body temperature up. So you got to be really mindful of that. But usually, as long as the dog is still coherent, we know what's going on, we know what's happening, get them inside, get them cooled off. You can do alcohol wipes over the feet and over the belly, and that'll bring that temperature down.
The alcohol just kind of cools them, makes them cold, feeling a little cooler.
And then you can even do like a cool towel, like underneath them or in those areas also, but get that temperature down, make sure they're hydrated. That does not necessarily mean nothing but water. It does, usually you can do like an electrolyte replacement, something like Pedialyte works really well. There's a couple of other products like Rehydrate things that work very, very well. Also for replacing the electrolytes with the dogs also. But at the point that your dog is in distress, not really able to move around, or having a little more incoherent, beginning to get unresponsive, you got to get to the vet. It's time to get some emergency care in them.
Yeah. Susan was asking, where's the best location around Orange Beach that allows dogs? There's not.
That stay for them to
go on the beach.
Stay on the beach. Yeah.
We don't. Our dogs are not allowed on the beach. I think you can have dogs in Dolphin Island. I think, and maybe some areas of Pensacola, but not our
There's
beaches
a
in LA.
dog park that's right across from the Gulf State Park. Right over there, they have put in a dog park. It's that cut through when you cross over at the light from the Gulf State Park, and then you're going around. There is now a dog park right there. But as far as a beach, that's on the lagoon side too.
Yeah.
I know
And
there's
I'm nervous about that, because isn't there alligators?
There
out
are.
there?
That's actually what I was going to say.
like-
So there's actually a lot of dog-friendly places on the bay. And And I know like my son and his girlfriend go regularly and take like Karis, and then take like they also have a poodle named Pookie. And I'm always like, y'all better watch out, don't let anything happen. But over in the Bay, there's a lot of dog friendly parks. They go to Bayfront Park quite a bit.
Bayfront parks.
And Kayla asked, GPS collar fence for traveling to grandparents' home with no fence? ?
So I think the question there, so GPS collar fence, if I understand that question, that is you can set it through an app wherever you're at. That should work fine if it goes well. They also have collar fences or collar-based fences where it's like a unit that you plug in, and the perimeter is based on the unit that's plugged in, not the fence that's set up. Those things work great for cats, but the GPS, if it's what I'm thinking it is, you just set it up on an app, that should work well.
Yeah, I had a client telling me about that, how he loved it. He could just set it up, set the parameters, and the dog stayed within them. If they're not too, hard-headed, and they already have learned.
That's the key.
Yes.
Let's not teach them that at grandparents' house.
Yeah.
Teach it at home. Right. Then it can
when
go
they
elsewhere.
hear the beeps, they understand the consequences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then it works. Now it's okay for grandma's house.
Yeah.
Poor grandma.
Yeah.
What is going on?
But I was just wondering if they were thinking about the tiles and things. Like if my dog goes, I can at least track them and say, I know where my dog is.
The only thing with those are, and there's some newer ones that are coming out on the market, is it's based on the cellular service in the area. And so that was one of the things I was looking at, because I was going to get some for the Pyrenees that we have over here with the farm. And the one that you get, it's like it works off of like Verizon, or it works off of AT&T, or whichever company it is. And I was like, well, who is good in this area?
Well,
and
I can tell
run?
you, in my area, it's Verizon, because we've been through all the different ones. So I would get the exact same service, our cell phones, because out here, we knew what would work. We had to switch. We've had to switch because it just doesn't work. AT&T does not work right here.
Right.
For whatever reason, but we've got a cell tower for Verizon that literally is our backdrop for everything.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's where, so if you get something like that for your
Check
pet,
that out for your area.
check that out. Be aware that not all of them are going to work the same in all areas.
Yeah, wherever you think your dog, how far he could go, that needs to be the provider that you buy it. But it's probably whatever cell phone you have, because you're buying the one that works best for you.
Yeah.
Well,
That was some great
that
advice,
was some
guys.
good information.
Definitely some good
Summer
information.
will be here before you know it, and I just want y'all to be prepared. But hey, have a good time this summer. We have a lot of clients with puppies in school. They're going to be picked up in that end of May, June, just to stay home. Some of our clients have forfeited a lot of travel this summer, and they have decided vacation is bringing a puppy home.
Hey, and you know what? Vacation can be bring a puppy home, but if you come here for your gotcha day, hey, extend it a couple of days.
Yeah.
Come down on a Friday, pick up your puppy on a Monday, or come down on a Thursday, pick up your puppy on a Monday, and hang out at the beach.
Yeah.
The beaches here are wonderful. You can turn a vacation into your trip, or turn your trip into a vacation.
Yeah, a lot of our clients do that. This is one of the best kept secrets as far as our beaches. We are 1.5 hours from Destin, Florida, Rosemary Beach. We are 7.5 hours to 8 to Orlando, but we're right off of I-10, and literally I-10 Buc-ee's, we are 5 minutes from there. So we're like on and off, right off the interstate, easy to find. And it is a great, and then the beach is 33 minutes. We live on the Beach Express. So everybody going up and down the beach, and you're going to see our billboard that says, home of the original teddy bear Goldendoodle.
We also have the beautiful Grand Hotel that's down in Point Clear, which is a world-class hotel that people come to as well.
They say it's the belle of the South.
And
Fairhope is one of the top
golf courses.
Small cities in Alabama to visit. So we've got plenty of things for you guys to do to make it a vacation and getting your puppy all in one.
Well, and a couple of other notes that a couple of clients have talked about, because a lot of people ask about, especially with us doing service dogs and therapy dogs, about accessibility for some of the things. And so one of the things that's really cool is we have some of our beaches that are wheelchair accessible, which is a very cool thing that you don't have in a lot of other places.
Is the Gulf State Lodge dog friendly, Dana? We'll have to find out, because that is a state resort, and it's super nice.
Yeah.
That one is super nice. You know, we have our Doodle Romp coming up in November the 5th, I believe, 4th. And we have doodleromp.com. Isn't that the page?
It's SmeragliaRomp.com.
SmeragliaRomp.com. But on there, Dana has listed dog-friendly hotels.
Yes.
So you can actually go to SmeragliaRomp.com, look at the hotels, and it'll show some of the things that you can do in this area there. So it kind of, you know, what we're talking about, it kind of will give you a little bit more information there.
That'll be cool.
Yeah. So guys, it was
Exciting
great
stuff.
chatting with you. If you're not a supporter and you want to be one, go ahead and sign up and get ready for Yappy Hour on Monday night.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun. We've got a lot of fun things happening. Dana, any last
Just want to
comments?
mention the last folks that jumped on. We have Marge Wiseman, Ann Elizabeth, Chuck McDonald. Just thanks for jumping on with us
thank
today.
y'all for joining us and for being here, following us. We're just always just trying to connect with you on any level. So follow us on all of our platforms. And we look forward to seeing you later today. We got lots of cute puppies. They're like having their debut. They're getting their updated media and
Having lots of fun.
Lots of fun. Meredith and Taylor and Lauren and Joe are just out and about right now.
Yep.
The rain has
Yeah, the
stopped.
sun came out.
I'm telling y'all, we got torrential storms last night.
We had hail at our house. It was so
it was pretty
heavy.
rough.
Yeah, we had terrible weather. Dogs, Hermione was having a fit. Lauren couldn't sleep. She was like almost having an anxiety, a panic attack over it. It was so bad last night. But now the sun is coming out, so thank goodness. But you
And the
guys,
heat.
yeah, and now the heat comes. So you guys have a great rest of your afternoon, and we will see you later. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.